Listen here, man. Say, man. It's the Lord under the scope. You already know who it is, Osiris Lord. Here's a fun fact for the day. This is the second time I'm recording this because my first video got corrupted. Somehow, I did something with like the photo booth and all of that technical stuff. You know, I don't be knowing. You move one thing on a Mac, everything's destroyed. You know what I'm saying? You delete one of your old songs, your whole computer get destroyed. But anyway, today's topic I thought was interesting. Uh, it's something that I personally feel like if you work on this, and it doesn't even, well, I guess it's different for everybody, but if you work on this, you can change your whole life in a matter of one conversation. And what I'm talking about in particular is perspective taking. Now, a lot of people are good with understanding other people's perspective, and then a lot of people are very, they just miss everything. You know, like they go down this whole thing. You said, I like to cross the street. They go down this whole thing like, I like to cross the street too. Blah, 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 blah. You know, and sometimes like, okay, I'll get on a more serious note. You know, somebody might say, hey, I don't like to eat cheese, you know, and you might be like, cheese is good for you. You need to eat cheese. Eat the cheese right now, or I won't talk to you ever again. Obviously, that's extreme, but you also need to understand that person's perspective. They may have said, I don't like to eat cheese, but you got to understand why they don't like to eat cheese. It might hurt their stomach. They may be allergic to cheese. You know, you just need to understand why that person said they don't like cheese or why they don't like cheese. You know, that's it. You just got to accept the fact. So, that's basically what I'm going to be talking about today because a lot of people, they don't think before they speak, or they don't listen to what and understand what someone's saying when they say it to them. They just talk to talk sometimes, even to hear themselves. And yeah, by the way, I know you see the dual action horses. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's the only reason I had to redo the video, you know what I'm saying? Cuz it had the dual action horses and I needed y'all to see that. Anyway, what is perspective taking? It has been defined as the ability to understand how a situation appears to another person and how that person is reacting cognitively and emotionally to the situation. So, in other words, this is from ampcreative.com, by the way. In other words, it's the ability to put ourselves in the place of someone else while recognizing, excuse me, while recognizing their point of view, experience, and beliefs. This recognition creates the basis of understanding between people. There is no way to perfectly take the perspective of another individual. However, the conscious attempt to understand another's point of view can build new neural pathways, creating real learning and reshape interactions. So basically, what they're saying is if you understand someone else, you can basically make your life better. Like you can literally change your entire life, what kind of jobs you get, what type of people you meet, what type of opportunities are open to you, your love life, these types of things. Because most of the time people are just kind of like I said, they're just talking to talk. And that's why a lot of relationships get ruined really easily too. That's how I feel because you have one partner just talking and talking and the other partner is listening. Yeah, I'm paying attention, but I'm not actually understanding or seeing your perspective. You know, so when you're talking to somebody, or you know what, when someone's talking to you, I'll just have my own like fake conversation. Someone's talking to me and I'm telling them, "Hey, that makes me uncomfortable." And they're just kind of like trying to make me do something that makes me uncomfortable, you know? But they're not really thinking past the point of, okay, it's going to make them uncomfortable, but this is good for them. That's a whole different story. That's not good, but for the sake of this story, we'll keep it simple. They're like, you know what? Just do it. It's fine. But when you tell them, hey, this makes me uncomfortable because it's embarrassing or whatever reason it is, I just don't want to do it, like I'm just embarrassed to do that. Now they understand because maybe that person doesn't get embarrassed, so maybe that person isn't a person that gets embarrassed for certain things that you might get embarrassed for, and they don't understand why you don't want to do certain things that potentially may cause embarrassment, especially because they're fine with embarrassment. So basically, I'm just saying, if you explain to somebody, hey, this, I don't like doing this because of this. Now they understand your perspective and they'll take that with them, as opposed to you just constantly saying, no, I don't want to do it, especially if you have a partner that is okay with you just saying no. But most of the time, they might be in their head like, this person always says no, this is boring, blase, blah, but they don't understand your perspective. Now, if you're fortunate enough to have a partner that does understand your perspective or take time to understand your perspective, then that's amazing. But I do think that this is something that even couples can sit down and watch. If not this video or podcast that you're listening to, you should definitely sit down and watch some videos about perspective taking, because man, that will change your life. So here's a list of things why perspective taking is so important. 1, it counteracts expressions of bias. 2, decreases implicit bias. 3, it reduces the expression and accessibility of social stereotypes. 4, it increases the positivity of group-based judgments. 5, decreases in-group favoritism. 6, increases team creativity. It stabilizes marriages and relationships and improves conflict resolution. That's the biggest thing. That is the biggest thing I personally feel like for perspective taking. You'll have less conflicts 100%. I'm going to make a separate video of how I think, at least for me, how I speak to people and what I'm thinking when I speak to people, and why I feel like I usually get a lot of people opening up to me, feeling comfortable talking to me, even just off the first hour of them meeting me. I've had like relationships, just like friendships, like regular platonic, just homies, whatever, homegirls, where it's like they just met me and they feel comfortable telling me like their deepest, darkest secrets, and I'm just here like, bruh, I'm just trying to smoke right now. I don't know why you're telling me all of this, but I'm listening. So, and also it creates successful leaders. You want here's a good example. So as far as like successful leaders, you want somebody at your job to listen to you, like your manager. For me, why I don't really like working jobs is because I typically feel like a lot of managers these days, they don't listen to people, or at least they listen, but they still impose their rule set or however they think, because they think that's the most efficient way, which is fine. But I want to know that you actually understood what I said. If I'm saying my back hurts because this is not real, but I'm saying my back hurts because you have me lifting boxes off the floor when there's, I don't know, tables over there that the boxes can just go on from the get-go off the truck. You should listen to that and acknowledge the fact my back hurts, or that this method may be better for everyone on the whole because this method doesn't work. That's an old method where in new times that doesn't work. So you might bring that case up to somebody and they might say no, but they don't understand your perspective. They're just thinking like you're being lazy. You don't want to pick the box up off the floor, because they don't have to do that. So they're not understanding your perspective. And unfortunately, for some reason, a lot of people who have issues and things like that, they think that these people are mind readers. So they'll be sitting there with this issue, upset, thinking that we're going to randomly be like, oh, Osiris looks upset that he's picking the box up off the floor. How am I supposed to know? How's your manager or whoever is supposed to know that you feel like you're not being understood, heard, or whatever when you're not talking up? That's a whole different story. But anyway, just to kind of round things off, because I don't really think that perspective taking is a topic I need to really talk extremely long about. I'll just end it with saying My take on perspective, that's funny. My take on perspective taking is that if you take the moment to understand someone, even if you don't necessarily understand what they're saying, here's a big tip. I'm going to talk about this in another video, but here's a big tip. When someone speaks and you don't understand or you're confused, especially in situations where it's a serious conversation, if somebody says something, you should ask them, hey, is this what you mean when you say this? You know, you don't want to just assume, you don't want to just give an answer based off what they said, because you could completely miss the perspective they're even coming from. I've had this go on in a lot of relationships that I've had, and it taught me a lot about myself and a lot about other people. So once I understood that I personally need to stop, listen for a second, understand and process. And if I'm confused, I'll read, did you mean this? Oh, you didn't mean that? I'm glad I asked that because I thought you meant it like this. And when I thought you meant it like this, I was thinking this way as opposed to this way. You know, like it could be something like a funny joke that you mistook, or, you know, just a funny joke. Like, yeah, you know? So anyway, I'm just trying to break it down to easiest as possible. I think that skill that I just gave you right there is the secret. And if you take that secret with you and just acknowledge it and just work on, it's really just people skills and understanding people and just realistically how conversations should go. You don't have to agree with what someone's saying. You can listen to them, understand what they're saying, and still disagree. You know, it's like, this is random, but like half full glass and half empty, or whatever, however that thing goes. You know, like you could be like, I view it as half full. I mean, ultimately it's the same fact. Yes, you know what? Basically, yes, it's the same fact. We're both agreeing that there is something in this cup making it either half full or half empty. Now, like I said, you can ask that person like, hey, like, why do you view it half full? And they might say something. Even though you don't agree, now you have that perspective of why this person thinks like that, or, you know, why a bunch of people may think this way, you know? And now in your life, you can start formulating answers based on that perspective as well as yours, which is really important. So perspective taking, super important, man. Super important, for real. So this is the Lord Under the Scope, episode number 5. I hope you enjoyed that, and make sure you subscribe, like, or share this podcast, whether you're watching the video or you're listening to it. Share it with somebody, because everyone needs a little advice sometimes, and these little 10-minute, 15-minute, 30-minute videos that I make are based off me watching hours of videos over my life. So I'm just giving you the little squeeze. So Lord Under the Scope, episode 5. Peace. Don't even know motherfucking champion. Yo, mental health champion.